Welcome back to the 11 Intuitions podcast. I'm Melissa Ainsley. Today's episode is one I'm really excited about because you're going to meet someone the same way I met her, through real conversation and in real time. Her name is Sara Escobar, and she's a Texas writer with 2 poetry collections, Old Flames and Wildflowers and Ashes and Stardust, What Comes After. Her work holds space for heartbreak, resilience, and the parts of grief people don't always know how to put into words. And what I love about Sara is she isn't just writing to be a writer. She's writing because people need language for what they're carrying. So if you've been in a season of loss, transition, or just trying to find yourself again, you're going to feel seen in this one. So let's get into it. Sara, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a great intro.
Oh, thank you very much. So for those listening, we met on Monday in a call, and I met you for the first time. Who is Sara Escobar today?
That is a tough question. I am still figuring that out, but I would say who I am today is someone learning how to own their grief, own their seasons of healing and pain, and learning how to carry all of it into a better version of oneself.
Well, that was a great answer for that one.
Thank you. Yeah,
How has being a Texas girl shaped your voice as a writer?
that's a really interesting one. I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind, Texas is home forever, right? I was born in Georgia, but I've lived here since I was 3 years old. So this is all I know. And Texas is it's cultural. There's so many different aspects to it. It's very layered. I think growing up in Texas, you kind of get a sense of people who are protected, people who are not protected. There's a lot of policies that go into effect, laws that have been life altering over the last few years. I think a lot of that holds space in my work, even unintentionally sometimes. It's just kind of part of a bigger picture of the community looped in with my work and the people who are silenced and not silenced.
Now, you work a full-time job and you still create. That's a lot of time there. Now, what keeps you showing up when you're tired?
I am tired a lot. I think for me, being tired and still showing up is better than not showing up at all. When I'm not writing, I feel worse. Writing is my passion. Writing is a way of survival for me. So it's really just about I'm going to do it whether I'm tired or not. I guess some would call it discipline. I don't really feel like I'm a disciplined person, but it's more of just an underlying passion that keeps me going because I have a lot to say.
Yes, and you channel it through your words. I love
Mhm.
that. I love that. Let's go into book 1, which is titled Old Flames and Wildflowers. So what was happening in your life when Old Flames and Wildflowers began forming?
My life was in a sort of reflection period at the time. I had just moved back in with my parents. Life had kind of gotten turned upside down. And I knew I had these collections, these journals that I had been writing in since I was in high school. And it felt like to me, this would be a really good way to get my feet wet, to dip into the literary world, so to speak. And so that's when the idea started forming. I have these journals, I have this poetry. I think it's good and worth sharing. I bet I could throw this into a book and maybe we'll see where it takes me.
Now, when we talked on Monday, you said it was a labor of love and also older work pulled from years of writing. What made you finally say, I'm publishing this?
I can't take all the credit, that's for sure. I was in the early stages of writing and trying to figure out publishing and navigating that whole thing when I met my boyfriend, Matthew, who has been so wonderful and honestly my biggest advocate for my work. When we first met, I had told him that I wanted to write a book. I'm in the process of it. These are kind of the poems I have. They are a little dark, some of them. They have to deal with past heartbreak and past relationships. And he could have ran for the hills when he heard that. And instead, he took my hand and encouraged me every single day in the first few months that we met. And Honestly, him pouring into me in that way was really my biggest motivator. I would have published the book regardless, I know that, but his encouragement and support is really what propelled me into publishing it as quickly as I did.
I can tell you from experience that just having a partner that is fully invested in you and is behind you can really help make your dreams come true faster. And I've been looking at your socials and I can really tell that he is there and is there for the right reason. And I love that you were just at the Sammy show just last month and he had a shirt that says, "My wife is my favorite author." And I
He's
love
cute.
that. That is
Yeah.
so sweet. So
Thank you. Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, he has been I like to call him my number 1 fan and also my manager because he's always the one, "You can do this, let's do this." And he's so cute with his matching shirts. Yeah, he loves matching. So I said, "You know what? Let's go all in."
yeah, that's great. So just gonna give a shout out to him and say that, not a lot of people have that. So I wanna say kudos to him.
Kudos to
Especially with
Matthew.
the matching. That's great.
I know, I feel some days I'm like, "Can we just pick a shirt and go?" But I think it's really sweet that he
Yes,
likes to do that.
that is. What surprised you most once your book was out in the world?
So when I published my first book, it was on August 2nd, 2024. I had been leading up to that date, been hyping it up on social media. I'd gotten, a lot of good feedback from people, but of course, the day of, I'm thinking, "Oh gosh, are people gonna show up like they said they were?" And they not only did they show up, I mean, they went all out. I had people, family and friends, but even, bosses at work, they're buying my book, they're asking me to sign it, and I was just really blown away by the posts that people made holding my book, showing they received it, how they can't wait to read it. That was all just it felt so good.
Oh, I love that. What is a favorite piece or theme from book 1 and why?
So the theme for book 1 is definitely more heartbreak and leaning into that to where you're sort of in the beginning stages of learning how to utilize that pain and heartbreak, but still sort of when you're in the throes of pain and loss, whether that be from a relationship, a friendship, a loved one. I mean, it could really be portrayed in a lot of different ways, but that is the theme. It's meant for those who are sitting at the depths of rock bottom. Sometimes when you're at rock bottom, you don't really want to hear everything's going to be okay. There are some poems in here that are uplifting, that are motivational, but a lot of it is more meant as a comfort or a blanket to keep you warm while you're going through that stage until you're ready to transition into healing and moving forward.
And when you say rock bottom, thing with doing the work that I do is I hit rock bottom
Mhm.
and I'm able to see others when they've hit rock bottom and they don't understand that the reason that I'm able to help them is because I was there. And hearing you say that, you've been there too. And through your words, you're able to help them. That's the beautiful thing is you have it written down. I can tell my story over and over and over again, but I don't have it written down. But you have it written down and you're sharing it with the world. So that's just really, really amazing. I know when we talked on Monday, I asked you what your favorite part in the book, and you said it was page 100. Is that in your first book?
No, that was my second.
Your second book.
I did flip through my first because it's, over 100 pages, they both are. I flipped through and I did dog ear some of my favorites. I mean, I it's so hard to choose a favorite, but,
Oh, I'm sure.
to stick to the themes and kinda give people an idea, I did pick some.
Cool. Could you read us an excerpt
I would love to.
from the book so we can kind of get a feel from your style?
Yes, I would love to.
Great.
I chose this one because, like I said previously, when you're kind of in the throes of devastation and you're trying to learn how to either let go or hold on, and you're kind of in that undecided place. Okay. I think I need to leave you. Not because you aren't worth my time, not because I don't love you, but because you drained me of all I had, and because you robbed me in dark alleyways after dusk every single night. And still I braved those back streets, hoping you'd change. I think I need to leave you, because even though I still love you now, I can't keep walking down ominous corridors, empty handed, waiting to become your prey. I hope you can understand. I hope you can forgive me.
Wow. That's truly powerful. And wow. Whew.
Oh, thank
I
you.
oh my goodness. I haven't had a chance to read your books yet, and I apologize for that. I was planning on getting them during the holidays and reading them, but
Yeah.
that just speaks to me because I have a friend who's going through that right now.
And that's why, oh gosh, I know I don't like making people cry, but
No.
when I see the visceral reaction, it is such a powerful thing, and that's why I wanted to write it because it's things that I've experienced, but it's things that I know so many other everyone's experienced.
Mhm.
And I wanted to write it in a way that would be relatable so that someone who read it or someone that heard
Mhm.
it could say, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
I feel that."
Yeah.
And I do have one more, it's kind of a if that's okay from
Of
the first
course it's
one.
okay. Yes. I mean,
This one is a little bit more uplifting or
oh, that's
encouraging
fine.
in that sense. So this one goes a little something like this. I don't know how to stop writing you into poetry. Love shouldn't feel like walking on glass or tiptoeing on eggshells. I'm trying to learn how to close these doors. My lungs feel dusty from not breathing in your scent. So instead, at night, I breathe in constellations and share my secrets with the moon so that maybe tomorrow your name won't get caught in my throat. So here's to letting go and finally seeing sunlight. People like you get caught in veins. I'm sticking you to poetry, and maybe one day it will be the place you stay. It's all uphill from here.
Hmm.
And that's book number 1.
I love that. I love
Thank
that.
you. Truly, thank you.
Yeah, my friend will definitely know that this portion is for her.
Yes, well, to your friend,
Yeah.
I wish her all the best in her healing journey. It is a
Mhm.
journey for sure,
It
so
is. It is. And isn't it funny how we all have had those experiences?
Mhm.
And I think just to know that other people have had experiences too, because when you're going through it, you feel like you're alone.
Exactly, and you're angry. That's what I meant earlier, sometimes you don't wanna hear that everything's okay, sometimes you just wanna know that what you're feeling isn't totally crazy and that it's valid, and when you wanna scream or destroy things, you have my book here that can just sort of serve as, "This person gets it, this person also has been through what I'm going through."
Mhm. And that you can be happy again.
Mhm,
Yeah.
exactly.
And your second one that you read says you're going to be okay. Just
Yeah.
put it away. You're going to be
Mhm.
okay.
Uphill. I tell myself still
Yeah.
every day it's all uphill from here.
It is. It is. It's just that's so so beautiful. Let's go to book 2, Ashes and Stardust. What comes after? This one's about grief. I know that way too much.
Mhm.
So, why grief? Why was that the theme that demanded to be written in a second book?
Well, that is, a sensitive answer, but to be completely transparent, I lost my sister in, December of 2022. She was not able to see my first book be published. When I was in the transition of writing the first book, I didn't have the words to express the loss. So there really isn't anything about my sister in the first book. So I felt only necessary to make grief the theme of the second book because it is such a big cloud that hangs over me and so many others every day, and I feel like it's not talked about enough, and I wanted to kind of put my own spin on grief. So this second book, Ashes and Stardust, what comes after, is written to mirror the 6 stages of grief with my own twist on them. It's chaptered into 6 sections, and they all have different names. And each section kind of gets more empowering as you go through it. So it kind of starts in the thick of it a little bit and then touches on things like grief and heartbreak still. Even there's some friendship breakups in there. Really just something for everyone. And it kind of goes into, as you read it, an empowering what comes after experiencing such a devastating loss, because there is an after to that if only we're willing to step into that.
Yeah. And, I've met people that it takes them years and years and years to even think about stepping out of it
It's
because they
hard.
feel like it's a betrayal.
Yeah, you don't wanna feel like you're forgetting that person.
Mhm.
It's so hard, and even now, it'll be 3 years soon. It'll on the 29th of this month, it will be
Mhm.
3 years, and
Wow.
so, even as I'm in this period of my life, I mean, there's some days where I'm okay and I can kind of I don't wanna even say forget, but I can, like, sit with it
Mm.
and not have it feel so heavy, and then there are other days today was one of those days where it's just like, "Man, she should be here. That
Mhm.
sucks." And, and you just kinda what I've learned through writing the 2nd book and just experiencing losing someone you love so much is that you don't forget them and the grief doesn't go away, but you learn how to carry it and carry the memory of that person with you wherever you go. That person is still with you in your life. That love doesn't go anywhere. It's just learning how to carry it differently. Mm.
Yes, definitely. You said you organized it around the stages and then renamed and reshaped them. What does grief look like in your lived experience?
It flip flops in my experience, but I think a lot of it was buried. I didn't take the time to process it the way I should have because I wanted to be strong for my parents. It was
Mhm.
just me and my sister because I didn't just lose a sister, my parents lost a daughter, you know? And so I didn't sit with it. I don't think many of us want to sit with it. It's too hard. Um, and that's kinda where my book begins, right? The first one, Silent Battles, Before the Ache Had a Name, kind of spin,
Mm.
and then you get into the anger of it, because why did I lose that person? I think we all struggle with that, and the sadness that they're not here, and then sort of the becoming of, "Okay, this is who I am, this is who I've lost, what am I gonna do with it?"
Mhm.
Sort of thing. So you're rebuilding yourself because that version of you that you were before you lost that person, they don't exist anymore. And I think that's what a lot of people have a hard time with as well, you know, that person I'm never going to be that person I was before I lost my sister. And you're also grieving that. You're grieving that version of yourself too.
That is very, very true. Very true. Is there a stage people misunderstand the most?
You know, I think it's different for everybody. I can't say that one stage would be misunderstood the most by everyone versus another. I think for me, the anger was misunderstood a lot. Um, I was raised Catholic and I don't really go to church anymore and I haven't for some years, but when I lost my sister to brain cancer, she was only 29 when she passed. That's how old I am now.
Mm.
Um, I was so angry, and I think I still have a lot of that anger, and it's one of those things where you have to learn that anger can be utilized as a tool. If you sit with that anger and let it consume you, it is so damaging to your health, to your life, to your spirit, and so I think for me, the biggest hurdle was learning how to use the anger for something good. So that's my personal experience with it.
And I know when we talked on Monday that I was telling you a story that on Friday, I have students that do readings, and I asked the student to do a reading on my husband. And when he was done, we talk after the reading, and he's like, is he more snappy? Is he this? Is he that? And I said, yeah. And he's like, um, he's going to be like this. So my husband, he got laid off in on October 31st. And
Mhm.
so he's just been having a hard time. And then all of a sudden I went, oh, he's grieving. And I didn't understand. It didn't dawn on me. And he's going through all of the grieving stages and he's in anger right now.
Right.
And so when I talked to you on Monday, you and I talked about, you know, grief just is not about death.
Mhm.
You can grieve friendships, you can grieve the death of someone, you can grieve jobs, but it's so important to, especially with men,
Oh
you know,
gosh. Yeah, that's a whole
yeah,
other podcast.
I know, isn't it? And I told you, I said, I deal with grief every day with my clients. And here I am living with a man who's going through it and I didn't even see it. And I
Yeah.
kept telling him, your energy, I can't handle this energy. That's all I kept saying.
Yeah.
And, I'd have to leave the room. We've been like bickering more,
Right.
but he didn't have the words to say it.
No, and
Um,
a lot of people won't.
right. And then so I came to him the next day and said, honey, I need to tell you something. And he's like, wow, I didn't even think about that.
No, he didn't even understand that's what was happening internally either.
That is so true. And during the reading, the student pulled some tarot cards, and the first card that he pulled was the Empress, a very strong woman.
Mhm.
And as soon as he pulled that card up, he said, this strong woman in your life. And my husband said, well, we all know who that is. And it was me. And my husband said, I am so thankful for her. I would not be able to go through this without her.
And mhm.
And I'm not saying that to, say yay me, but we as women have to care for the men in our lives because they were not taught how to grieve.
Right, and we end up carrying the emotional burden for them more often than not as we're kind of trying to teach them
Mhm.
because like you said, they are taught from a young age. They don't regulate their emotions. They
Mhm.
bury them. So when it comes to something like this, being laid off, that is such a massive blow to the spirit, the psyche, and they don't know how to name what they're feeling. All
Mhm.
they know is how to kind of regurgitate the feelings outward to the people they love. And
Mhm.
that's like a whole other separate thing. But it is so true that grief, it doesn't hold to one spectrum. I mean, it really covers so much more than just the death of a loved one.
True. And, I'm really getting from spirit right now about your book is that your words, you putting that out there, if someone doesn't know how to say it, how to feel it, if they read it from you, just like you just reading your first excerpt, it brought me to tears
Mhm.
because I can see that in a friend. And I can immediately take it to her and go, let me share this with you. And then we can just go, yes,
Yeah.
yes. How did you put that in? Where did you get that from? I,
And that
you
is
know,
the such a great feeling. It's surreal still.
and I think that you putting that out there because you were able to process it and understand it will give words to people to take it to someone else and share it with them, or even someone who doesn't know how to make it into words. Like I'm having a hard time right now putting it into words, but
Right,
you know what
right.
I'm saying?
Oh, for
Like
sure.
I would welcome anyone who is having a hard time with grief to go out and get that book because maybe what you're feeling right now, read it and Sarah has already put it into words and it will help you process that when you couldn't already process that
Right.
feeling, that pain, that heartache. She so eloquently has already put it into words for you.
And shift it into perspective for a little bit for whoever
Yes.
reads it, just kinda
Yes.
Moves the pieces.
Definitely. And once you put it into words and understand it, then that is when you're able to process it and let it go. You're not forgetting the person. You're just letting that feeling go because you're giving yourself permission not to hold on to that heartache anymore.
100%, and that's kind of been the biggest takeaway with this second book. I mean, it was very cathartic for me, and even I'll have to do another shout out for my friend Jordan, who I met on TikTok, who was
Mm.
just someone who came across my account and read my work, and I sent her my book. She had won a giveaway that I had done, and she messaged and said that I had put into words for her things that she'd felt her whole life and never knew how to express. And for someone like me, I mean, little old me, it felt so empowering, and I was grateful that I always felt like my words were worth sharing. And so hearing that from someone, a stranger on the internet who lives on the other side of the country, it was an unexplainable feeling.
When we talked on Monday, you had mentioned one of your favorite lives in the anger space, Salt in
Mm.
the Wound. So, why does that piece matter to you?
So that piece matters to me because I feel like that was really when I started understanding everything that I'd gone through. I didn't want to carry it in a way that it made me weak or small-minded or selfish. I wanted to use the anger of what had been done to me, who I've lost, the things I've gone through. I wanted to use it as a weapon almost to get stronger and to be better, and I think that's kind of where that begins for me in this section. And so I don't know, when you asked me what my favorite one was, that was the first one that came to mind. I mean, I flipped through and I was like, "Oh, this one's good. This one," I'm gonna say that about all of them. I think they're all good, but I think there's a reason that one came to mind first.
What do you want someone to feel when they're in the messy part of grief and they open your book?
I would want them to feel that they are not alone. And they don't have to carry it alone. They don't have to carry the grief and all the feelings that come with it by themselves. And even if they don't know how to vocalize it to the people around them, they don't feel that they have support in their close circles, that there are resources out there. There are people who care, who have been through it, who have gone through it. I wanna sit with them, and I wanna hold their hand, and I wanna say, "Listen, some days are gonna be okay. Some days you're not even gonna be able to find hope in anything. But we persevere, we keep going. We don't just keep going for ourselves. We go forward because of the people we've lost. We're doing it for them." Or you're doing it out of spite, maybe. Like, a lot of that was for me too, doing it out of spite because I poured myself into people who didn't care about me and would never do the same for me. And that can be shameful at times.
Mhm.
And I decided, you know what? I'm going to be the best version of myself just to spite those people. And spite can be powerful in that way.
That is so true. One word that I hear from spirit is validated,
Oh, yes,
validated, and that's exactly what you said at the beginning.
it's true.
Validated,
It
yes.
really is.
So at that big event, you watch people flip to random pages and react in real time. What was that like seeing people with your book?
I could cry just thinking about it. It was validating is a great word. I was starstruck as if I'm not the one that wrote it. One woman in particular flipped open, she read it to herself, and so I'm just watching her, kinda gauging her reaction because one of those things, you're kinda being judged right there on the spot, you don't know how it's gonna go, and she put the book to her chest and took a deep breath and closed her eyes, and I was like, "Oh, which one was that? Like, I wanna know which one you read to make you react that way." And, she pulled it back in front of her and read the poem out loud, and seeing this stranger standing there reading my work, watching it very clearly resonating with them. I mean, my chest opened up. That's my childhood dreams coming true, honestly.
Mhm.
That's how it felt. My childhood dreams are coming true right now, and this is awesome.
So, one more question about grief. What's something you wish people understood about grief that most people do not?
One thing I wish people understood is that it doesn't go away. And I think a lot of people say that, but they don't really grasp the impact. And you really don't until you go through it. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it is unfortunately something we all have to go through. Although it doesn't go away, we learn how to grow around it. And that doesn't mean that some days it's not going to hurt just as much, but
Mhm.
it means that we carry them with us and we understand that life goes on, though it will never be the same. We honor them in the way we move forward.
That is true. And, even though I have this gift of being able to communicate with my loved ones, my mom and dad, it's still difficult for me. The
Yeah,
holidays are so rough. They really are.
it's oh, yeah.
And seeing people with their family and taking them for granted, that's difficult,
Oh, yes.
like, you don't understand. And I'm like, you don't understand because you haven't lost your parents. They're like,
Right.
I don't want to lose my parents. Yeah, but when
I
you
struggle
do,
with that.
then you'll get it. Then
Right.
you'll get it.
Well, and I think to also piggyback off of that, one thing I've learned with grief too, I mean, life is so short. It's not promised. We lose people
Mm-mm,
unexpectedly and otherwise every day. I mean, we knew that my sister was sick. We knew that she was nearing the end by that time, and it was still such a blow. I would urge people to forgive more quickly. And
mhm,
that's a lot easier said than done sometimes. You have people that go no contact with their families, and sometimes that's valid, but I think a lot of times we shut people out, we cut people off for silly and trivial things,
mhm,
not knowing that that could be the last time you ever talk to that person before
mhm,
they're gone. And that's the thing, it's just it's one of those things. I feel that very strongly because with my sister, we had, like, kind of a rocky upbringing when we were kids, right? And we were getting closer when she was diagnosed, but I feel like that was snatched away from me because she passed, so we never fully got to have the relationship we should have, and so I blamed myself a lot when I was going through it because when I was younger, I was kinda stubborn and headstrong in my belief that I was validated to kinda push her away, and I can't go back and change that now, and I'm grateful for what we had while she was here, the relationship we were able to form, but, just call your parents, hug your loved ones while you can. I mean, it's you never know.
mhm. We talked about Jordan and how you
Mm.
sent the book to her, but tell me about a moment when you realized your words were actually helping someone heal.
I feel that whether it's people that I know or strangers, I've gotten so much feedback from the people who have been willing to buy my book or share my book. Just hearing when people buy my book and they let me know, I'd always tell them, "Let me know your favorites," because I really care about connecting with people who are reading my book and wanting to learn about what resonates with them. And so I've gotten a lot of messages from people, "Oh, this one right here, I mean, it really just it hit me in the chest," or "This one really made me, like, snap out of the funk that I was in, and this one made me realize what's important." It's hard to pinpoint specifics aside from Jordan, just because I think that one was she was one of the first people, and she wasn't even in this state. So it was just
Mhm.
really cool. We still are connected and we still talk, and she has expressed to me even she's showing her daughter this book. My work's being reached all the way out there in Pennsylvania.
When a stranger connects with your work, how does that hit you differently than when someone already knows you?
Oh, yes. So it's a weird feeling, right? Because I don't wanna say one is more validating than the other. When people I know and love are reading my books, I kind of feel in a way they're obligated to like it, you know? When I published my first one, I had a lot of people my mom, gosh, she was sending it to the aunts and the uncles and the cousins, and they were all buying it. Obviously, all my close friends. I do just I feel like in a way, "Do you really like it though?" Because I love it, and I feel like you're gonna just tell me what I wanna hear, and even though I know that's not the case because I know what I have to share is so meaningful, I think we all have that little bit of self-doubt, in our minds, and so when a stranger, someone who has no obligation to tell me what I wanna hear, shares with me how impactful my work is, it just lets me know, "Okay, that little self-doubt voice I have in my head, I need to just mute that, turn it off, and carry with me what everyone's telling me, and also to believe in myself because I know at the end of the day that this is my childhood dream. I've been writing since I was a little girl, and even to just have this out in the world, if only one person read it, I still think it would be great. But that
Mm.
is luckily not the, outcome I've had, and I've had really wonderful feedback, and I've made really wonderful connections. I got to meet you and have this amazing opportunity, so I'm really, really grateful for where this has taken me.
So, for anyone listening, especially me, who has a book in them but is scared, what would you tell them?
Tell them that it is easier now to get into this world than it ever has been. When I was a kid, I always thought I would go the traditional publishing route and go through a publishing house and have an agent and a contract and all this. And I have found through my research and through my efforts and publishing my books that you don't need any of that. That doesn't make it easier by any means, but if you have something close to your heart that you want to share, you can do it. And it's not hard. My books are on Amazon. I've done all the publishing myself. I've the editing myself, the covers, the designs. My first book has illustrations in it. I put all of that together. And I am not the most tech savvy, believe it or not. So I would just encourage you and anyone else that it is possible you can do it. There is a marketing aspect, you have to really be able to push through that because of being self-published, it's saturated for sure, but you can stand out if you put that work into it.
This summer, I was looking for a book editor and I was looking for a social media person and I was looking for a podcast person. And I have a book editor and she keeps messaging me like, "Do you have anything for me?" I went and did social media and podcasting and I haven't got my book out yet. I think this is my kick in the pants that come 2026, I need to start working on the book. Hired me. So thank you for that.
That is the goal, so thank you.
2 books. I read that over half of the people who wrote a first book will never go to the second book. So I just want to tell you congratulations on that. That is quite amazing. When did you start writing the second book? Or it was just like, oh, I have so much material here.
Well, no, so I wrote the first, well, and I had written really over the years because my first book is a lot of older work,
Mhm.
that is just kind of a compilation. When that was published in August and I got the feedback, I didn't really think I was gonna write another one. I remember it was somebody at work, she had bought it, someone I really didn't speak to, so I was surprised she bought it, immediately comes up to me, "When are you gonna write the next one?" And I was like, "Oh, my book just came out a week ago. What do you mean the next one?" But that always stuck with me, and the more people that asked me that, the more I thought, well, gosh, these poems are older and I have a lot more to say. And I've lost my sister. I'm dealing with all this other stuff that hasn't even been touched in the first book. Let me go ahead. I got some more to say. Let me get this off my chest. So I started writing it probably maybe in October, November of that same year, 2024. And so this second book is all new poems that were written in the year after I published my first.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So when we talked on Monday, you told me something. You said that poetry was you getting your feet wet and novels is where you wanted to go. So, what kind of novel is calling you?
Yes, I have always wanted to write novels. That has always been my dream. I am more of a contemporary young adult fiction writer. I don't know if you're familiar with Ellen Hopkins. She's one of my favorites. I want to write about still stories that are relatable, that are gripping, that have a healing message in them. I'm actually writing something right now that I hope to be my debut novel, and it's going to touch on a young girl kind of transitioning through her teenage years and kind of experimenting with drugs and things like that. And I really feel like that's something that a lot of young people go through in those years, and how to kind of come back from that as a more polished, stronger version of themselves,
Mm,
especially in those formative years.
let's look into the future. What do you want your writing career to look like in 3 years?
Gosh, I have a hard time figuring out what next week is gonna look like.
I know.
Honestly, I the more I look into writing, I would love to be able to do it full time. So I hope that is more of a possibility in the future. Honestly, I'm gonna manifest it right here, right
All
now.
right, I love
I
that.
want to be a New York Times bestseller, number
Mm,
one. So in 3 years, I will have at least one book that is number one New York Times. I just recently got my books into a boutique here in Killeen called The Charming Haven.
mhm.
I'm super excited to even say my books are now on the shelf in a store somewhere. 3 years from now, maybe Barnes& and Noble. For me, it's not about the notoriety or the money. I want my words to reach more people. In 3 years, if I could say I've reached 10,000 people, maybe I have already, I don't know, but if I can say that confidently in 3 years, then I would say that 20,000 is next.
I think that's great. I think we can say that this podcast can help you get there, and we're gonna look back and go, "Whoa, look how far she's come, and it's only been
Right.
a year."
That's so exciting.
That is
Yes.
exciting. You said that your book is in shelves, and it just got there. Where else can people buy your book?
Right now, my books are available on Amazon. I do have my first one, Old Flames and Wildflowers. You can buy it online at barnesandnoble.com. I
Mhm.
haven't got my second one on there yet. So really, Amazon is the best place to shop for them and read
Okay.
more about me.
So see, you already are in Barnes& and Noble.
True, I'm trying to get in them shelves though.
I know, I know. I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. So which book should people start with, depending on what season they're in?
Well, I don't I don't wanna say that you have to read Old Flames and Wildflowers first. I think that if you are still in a state of pain and are still kind of grappling with what's happening during either book, honestly, would be a great start. But if you are somewhere, maybe you're feeling desperate for change, that you wanna heal, but you don't know how, you don't wanna carry the weight of what has been holding you down anymore, definitely Ashes and Stardust, what comes after, for
Mm,
sure. Old Flames and Wildflowers, I think, is a really good beacon of hope in the darkness, but Ashes and Stardust is really the tunnel that you go all the way through.
and what if you have a family member that's going through something right now? Say somebody who's going through grief or someone's going through a hard time, and you wanna get them a gift and you're listening to this podcast and you're so enamored with you, Sarah, you're thinking, "I'd like to give a gift. Maybe I should give both books, but really, I just would like to give one." Which one would you give?
Well, I'm biased, and Ashes and Stardust is truly, I would say that is my current era of where I am now. Those words came straight from my heart over the last year. And I really do feel like the structure of Ashes and Stardust, it's a lot more cohesive, more comforting, organized read. And I think that would be my recommendation. Old Flames and Wildflowers is my baby. That's my first book. I will always be proud of it. But keep in mind for the listeners, that was my first. So it might be a little haphazard, but it was a labor of love. And into the second one, I poured all the things I learned about writing a book, and all the tools in my toolbox has gone into the second one.
Well, as we wrap up, um, I wanted to ask you about your socials and tell people what kind of content you share so they know why to follow you.
For sure. So I have Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram right now. TikTok is where I'm posting the most. I'm trying to go viral these days. I have a couple videos that have done very well that are pinned at the top of my profile for people. I do reading videos. Sometimes I'll read work that I haven't published. I do a lot of the slideshow videos that tend to do really well these days. Um, and that's typically what I share on all of my platforms. On Facebook, I'll normally post more of like the local updates when I was doing my Sammy show and things like that. Same with Instagram. With TikTok, I'm trying to keep it polished and get more followers. So I would love to connect with people for sure. I mean, not just for the number, obviously, but I want to know that people are resonating. I want to know what people think. With TikTok, my handle is Sara Sunshine _, and my Facebook is Sara Escobar -author. And then my Instagram is sublime.prose.
Well, for those that are driving, we will have all of this in the bio. Sarah, thank you for being here and sharing your heart so openly. I love what you said about putting words to feelings people have lived with for years but never knew how to describe. And that in itself is a real gift. For everyone listening, if Sarah's words resonated with you, here's what I want you to do next. Go grab her book, Old Flames and Wildflowers and Ashes and Stardust, What Comes After. If you're in a grief season or you've been through something that changed you, start with the one that feels like it's speaking to where you are right now. And if you want to support a writer who is truly doing meaningful work, buying the books and leaving a review is one of the biggest ways you can help. Sarah's links and socials are in the show notes, so you can follow her, connect with her, and keep up with what she's creating next. And as always, thank you for being here with me. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who needs it, and I'll see you in the next one. And for more information on 11 Intuitions, go to www.11intuitions.com.